everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tails Crafts. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be creating two pop-up Easter cards, but first I'm going to pick the two winners from the Flower Shop product showcase video. I'm going to be giving away two $50 gift cards to Scrappy Tails. So here are all the names of the people who commented on that video, as well as the names who were in the premiere chat. So I'm just going to show you that I did write them all down. I think there was like 30 people, at least 30 people that commented, which is great. I really appreciate when you comment on my videos. It helps YouTube show my videos to other people. So I'm going to spin for the first winner. And it is Dina Carroll. And I think she is a new subscriber, so congratulations. I'm going to spin again. And the second winner is TR's Place. And I do recognize that name. She regularly comments on my videos and my posts. So congratulations to both winners. If you're watching this video, you can go ahead and email me. I will have the email listed in the video description. I'll also reach out to you in the YouTube comments so that you can claim your prize. All right, so like I said, I'm going to be creating two Easter cards using the pop-up basket and the pop-up vase, along with some new products. So this is the garden flowers die set, and I cut the flower bunches from this set. Same with the potted flowers. So I didn't actually use the pots or the boots. I just wanted the flowers for my two cards today. I cut them from green, so all the stems and leaves from 2 shades of green cardstock, and then the flowers in a bunch of different bright spring colors. I always do my die cutting ahead of time. I did have a few leftover flower bunches that I'm actually going to use in another video coming up. I wanted to create some mini pop-up vases, so stay tuned for that. I also, you can see here, use the Assorted Leaves die set, one of my favorite dies. I use it all the time. And then from the Spring Essentials set, which came out last year, I cut some Easter eggs, the tall grass, and then the flowers in that set. And then another set from last year, this is the Easter Blessings stamp set. I just stamped and colored the cross from that. And I do have a video showing how I colored that cross. I'll have it linked below, but because this video was already long, I didn't show the coloring because I, like I said, already did. Then I am going to use the pop-up basket and the pop-up vase. So these are two older pop-up dies, but they're perfect for spring and Easter cards. And as I was going through all these dies that I used, I forgot that I wanted to use the Garden Animals die set. I really wanted some bunnies for my basket. So off camera, I went ahead and cut a couple white bunnies out. All right, so now I'm going to do paper piece. And if you've been watching my videos lately, you know that paper piecing has been my jam. It is definitely my comfort zone if I'm not feeling super inspired, which this day I actually was, but I just wanted to do something that I really enjoy, and that is paper piecing. So yeah. And I know it's not for everyone. I know it is time consuming, but the way that I see it is I'm spending time no matter what. Usually it's ink blending or coloring. So this is just an alternative to time, which is sitting here and gluing all these tiny flowers onto the stems. But the dies make it easy because the stems and the flowers are separate. So you can cut the flowers from a pink cardstock and the stems from green and just layer the flowers on top. You don't have to cut the same stem twice and then cut the flowers off the stem. So it saves a little bit of time in that way. But it's kind of like a puzzle for me. It's very calming and relaxing. So I personally don't mind the extra time. With that being said, I'm not going to show you all of the paper piecing because that would take forever. But I did want to show you each bunch from each set. So in the garden flowers set, you get the tulips, the wildflowers, and then these lily of the valley type flowers. And I would suggest, because we're creating a vase and a basket, I used lightweight cardstock for the green stems, and you can see they're pretty dainty. I wish that I cut the stems from a heavyweight green cardstock, because you'll notice as I start gluing these flower clusters into my vase and basket, some of them lean forward because they're top heavy. And if I were to have used a heavyweight green, that would not have happened. So that's what I would suggest doing. And that's what I will do next time. So the mini vases I plan on using, I want to use the vessels that are included in the potted flowers and the garden flowers die set. Because right now you've only seen me use the flowers. And with the mini vases, I can put a different vessel in each one. So I can have one with the rain boots, one with the terracotta pot, one with the tea kettle, and I'll just have a collection of 6. And I think those would be really cute to mass produce. I think I'm going to make 20 of them for my design team members. So I'm going to work on that after this voiceover. Oh, and I forgot to mention in my last couple videos that we did hit 5,000 subscribers, which is awesome. That's very exciting for me. We're almost at 2,000 on Instagram too, so if you haven't followed me on Instagram yet, I will have a link below. All right, so I finished up the potted flowers and now I'm going to work on the Easter eggs. These are so cute. I love this set. It comes with the solid egg and then 2 decorative ones. One has like a chevron and one has a floral pattern. Here I'm just going to glue the decorative eggs on top of the solid ones, and I cut the solid eggs from a slightly lighter shade of the same color. And these are going to go inside my Easter basket. The cross is going to be featured in the vase. So one is more traditional and the other one is kind of more cutesy. But they match very well because I used obviously the same flowers in both. I really like this tall grass too. It's a nice filler in the vase and the basket. And here you can see I'm just adding some purple flowers to these. All right, so now we can actually start assembling these cards. I'm going to start with the vase, and I cut everything from that die set. I cut 2 bases from heavyweight white cardstock, and then I cut some pattern paper with the solid rectangle that's included. There's also a lace panel that you can use instead, so if you don't want to use your pattern paper, you can use that. But I found some really pretty bright green leftover pattern paper I decided to use. So I'm going to attach those panels down onto my base. I just used my ATG tape for those. And then if you want to create the mini vase, which like I said, I'll have a video on that soon, you would only use 1 panel instead of 2. But by creating 2 of them, you're going to get a larger vase that's going to be shaped like an octagon. There is a 1/2-inch tab on the end of these, so I'm going to add some strong double-sided tape by Uline. And then I'm going to connect both of them together to create a long strip. Then I'll go ahead and reinforce the score lines and then attach each end together. To create that octagon. And that is the base of the vase. Now we have to add the bridges inside so that we can attach our flowers. So I cut 4 bridges out from the same heavyweight white cardstock, and then I added double-sided tape to each tab. And with these, you're going to want to create a triangle. So you're going to glue those or fold those tabs inwards, glue one tab on any point in the vase, skip the following point, and then glue the second tab to the next point. So that was kind of fast. I'll show it again. The next bridge goes up right against the first one you added. You skip the next point and then glue the second tab to the following point. And then as you go, you can fold it down just to make sure that everything adheres nicely. Again, I use that strong tape. All right, so now we're going to add the third bridge. Here you can see I created that triangle with both tabs facing towards themselves. I'm going to attach one tab right next to the bridge I just added, skip the following point on the vase, and then glue the next tab on that following point. I hope that makes sense. I think it's easier to see what I'm doing versus me explaining it. I'm going to add the last bridge in now. And this one you're going to glue each tab to or beside each of the bridges. Again, skipping that point in the center. And then you'll be left with a star shape. So if you have that, you know that you added them in correctly, and you can fold them in either direction. All right, so I have my cross here. I'm going to add just a small bit of glue to the bottom right corner and glue it to one of those bridges as close to the center as possible. It's not going to be perfect because obviously the bridges don't meet all the way in the center. There has to be a gap in order for the card to close, but it looks pretty good. Here you can see I'm adding my assorted leaves and a few of my flower clusters, trying to not block the cross too much, but to just fill in the areas with some nice color. And I did color that cross in with my Copic markers. It's a nice size for this vase. I really like how it turned out. All right, so I wanted to use this pink flower cluster here, but it was kind of small for the back, and I wanted it to be more substantial, so I glued it onto one of the assorted leaves, like the viney type leaf. That way, when you look through the card, you're going to see some green at the bottom part of the stem. I did glue it to a clear acrylic stick. These are by Clear Scraps. They actually come in 12 by 12 sheets that I trimmed down into strips using my Caterpillar. And I would say that I can create about 50 cards with one 12 by 12 sheet. So they are a little bit pricey, but you use so little of them, and they provide a nice substantial weight to the card. And because they're clear, you obviously don't see them when you're popping your elements up inside your pop-up cards. I use them with my boxes, with the vase, the basket, pretty much every pop-up that I've brought out. You can see that I added some more flowers, and I'm going to add another leaf to the very back. Again, I added it to a clear stick. That's what I call them. And you're going to want to make sure you close it often so that you're not going outside the edge too much, because you do want it to fit inside an A7 envelope. You also want to make sure that the card does not exceed 7 inches tall. So you can see as I'm adding things in, I'm closing it, I'm moving them more towards the center if they are overhanging too much. But I think this is turning out really cute. I'm going to add a butterfly now behind my yellow flower cluster. And then I think I add another butterfly to the green stem next to the cross. And then that's gonna pretty much finish the inside. I did add a sentiment from the same stamp. This one says, "By his wounds we are healed." I stamped it with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, clear heat embossed it, and cut it from a decorative die in my stash. You can see to the right I have a Happy Easter. I'm going to use that for my basket. So this is the completed card. This is what it looks like folded down. I think it's really pretty. All right, so now we're going to work on the basket. I cut the base from a heavyweight kind of mushroom type color, and then the basket weave I cut from Craft. I kind of wish I went with a darker brown, but it's okay. I think it still looks good. And this basket weave, along with a lattice, is included in the basket die. You can also use pattern paper instead, like I did on the vase, but I really like the tone-on-tone look. So while the vase created an octagon, the basket is going to create a hexagon. So I did the same thing to the second panel, and then I will add my double-sided tape to the 1/2-inch tabs again. And just like the vase, you're going to attach them together to create a long strip, fold down all the score lines, and then attach each end together. And then you'll get your hexagon here. And then we're going to add the bridges. So this set includes a longer bridge and a shorter one. So here I have 2 long ones. And just like the vase, you're going to find a point, any point on the hexagon, glue your first tab right up against the point, skip the following point, and then glue it to the next point over. I'm adding my double-sided tape to all of the bridges to save some time. And this one's easier to see because you're basically gluing the long bridges in the center of the card, both of them. And then you're going to be creating an X shape. Then the shorter ones, they're optional. You don't have to add them, but if you want some more surface area for more flowers, I personally like to add them to the top and bottom point. You can see that doesn't have anything. And I just make sure that that point on the triangle lines up with the point on the hexagon. And so I added another one. And then I'll go ahead and add my basket handle. So I'm going to add double-sided tape to each end. I did not need to make these strips this long. You're going to see that I end up rolling the tape down. So unlike the vase, this basket will only glue or will only fold down in one way. So again, you have to be mindful of that when you add your elements inside. And you might notice that there's not a score line on this basket handle, and that's because I knew some people would want the handle to be taller and some would want them to be shorter in order to fit inside an envelope. So you're going to add your own score line, basically by folding it down and pinching it at the top, which you just saw me do there. So now I'm going to add my larger elements in first, which are these 2 grasses. And I tend to, with both the vase and the basket, I like to be symmetrical with it. So if I do something on the front of the basket, I will flip it around and do the same on the other side. So the next largest pieces were the eggs. So you're going to see I add my pink ones. And then to hide the solid egg on the back, I'm going to glue my other 2 eggs. So that's how it looks so far. And now I'm going to add in my little clusters. This is the tulips. You can see that I'm gluing some of the pieces directly on the bridges and some I'm actually gluing behind the card base, which is what I just did there. And here you might notice that some of those flowers are leaning forward, especially the grasses. So I would use heavier cardstock to avoid that. You can also add the little acrylic sticks behind them too to give them a little more stability. But in this case, I'm probably just going to hand deliver this card. All right, so now I have my little bunnies. They're great little fillers. And they're so cute for Easter. I did go over their faces with a black fine liner just to help them pop a little more. And then I'm at the point where I'm just kind of filling in the blank areas with leaves and flowers. I'm going to cut up some of these stems and add them around the eggs. I think on the other side, instead of cutting up a flower, I just add a butterfly. So it's not the exact same on each side. You can see I used a different bunny on each one, but they are pretty similar. All right. And then I think the only thing I do is add a bow to the basket handle. That is included in the basket pop-up die set. I'll also add a couple more flowers here. I really love to fill up my baskets, but you can go as crazy or as simple as you want. Just be mindful of how much you're adding and make sure that it will still fit in an envelope. In this case, it will. All right, I think that's it. I think I'm just going to add my sentiment. Here I'm going around to show you everything. I just love how wild it looks. It just looks like a basket full of wildflowers. All right, so there's my sentiment. And that will complete both of my cards today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you haven't yet already, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.